Jose Mourinho, the self-proclaimed special one of the greatest managers of the 21st century, honestly, started his career with an unbelievable victory for Porto, winning the Champions League and shocking everybody. Then went on to Chelsea and dominated the Premier League for a few seasons. Then went on to win a treble at Inter in 2010, beating my Barcelona in the semi-final. Went on to Madrid where he did special things, honestly broke up the monopoly a bit in Spanish football, beating Barca one season in 2011-12 and getting Madrid the farthest they had gotten in about 12 years in the Champions League, and really setting up what became of that team. And he is really such an iconic person in the sport. He's managed so many great players, so many iconic stories, iconic phrases. He is a fucking character, bro, and I think that's the most memorable thing about him. But honestly, the last 10 years have been fucking sad. On his return to Chelsea, he was sacked after winning the league in the first season, then sacked at Manchester United, then sacked at Tottenham, sacked at Roma and Fenerbahce. And even though he had his little successes at United with the treble, with the Europa League, Super Cup, and I think it was the Carabao Cup, I think. And then he won the Conference League at Roma, getting them a European title. He has special moments here and there. But the times where he was dominating Europe with teams, that is long gone. And people seem to keep forgetting that, bro. The reason why I'm making this video, and I feel like it's relevant, is because I have seen too many damn talking points about how special this guy is, about how he's better than Guardiola, how he does things the right way and whatnot. It's the most revanchist history I think I have seen in the sport. And I kind of like Mourinho. I obviously don't have the best history with him beating Barca in the semifinal in 2010 and just basically just being a piece of shit for his years at Madrid. I don't have the best history with him, but I've grown to like him more over the years of the sport. And I think if you're honest about his career, he has in the past years underachieved. He has been sacked from every club for a decade. That's about half his career, dude. Just sack after sack. And at what point does this start to affect his legacy, bro? At what point do people start to take into account consistency, bro? How do people just continue to ignore his growing irrelevance in the modern sport? And I think the thing that has made me make this video, he just had a quote with Benfica. He is now coaching Benfica, the biggest club in Portugal, and he had this to say. In the post-match interview, he said, "I don't like players who let me down." Now, this may seem like a normal kind of thing, like a normal thing for a manager to say. You know, he's saying that his team wasn't giving it their all and shit. But this is the latest of a kind of tradition that Mourinho has. When things start to look bad at certain clubs, he just turns on the players completely. He turns on the club. He turns on the referees. He starts to blame everybody but himself. And I don't really have too much of a problem with this rant here, but it just seems like it's always never his fault. He always likes to push the blame onto other people. He did the same thing at Fenerbahce after leaving the club. He said, "I made a mistake going to Fenerbahce. It wasn't my cultural level. It wasn't my football level. It wasn't my level. Obviously, I gave everything until the last day, but coaching Benfica is returning to my level, and my level is coaching one of the biggest clubs in the world." Like, people forget, bro. He went to that Fenerbahce job because nobody in Europe wanted him. He's at that level because he showed for about 8-9 years to that point that he just could not handle the highest levels in Europe, bro. And he went to Fenerbahce with a lot of enthusiasm, getting the local community very riled up and in support of the club. And he failed there too. And at Benfica, bro, he's talking crazy. He is underperforming there as well. They are third place in the league currently. Niggas are calling for his head once again. And Fenerbahce is not close to the first time that he's done this. At United, there were many stories of him like literally harassing Mkhitaryan, texting him every single night for him to get out of the club. People forget, but Mkhitaryan was a baller at the time. And Mourinho literally harassed him to get out of the club, sending him texts like, "Oh, leave so I can get Alexis Sanchez," who did end up flopping. He fell out of favor with Paul Pogba. Not fell out of favor. He literally just blamed all of the team's problems on Luke Shaw at the end. He just has this history of blaming things on people when things start to go wrong, bro. And that is the sign of a coward. That is the sign of someone who knows he doesn't have it anymore. Yet I continue to see this narrative that it is other people's fault. I've never seen a guy so defended in the sport for being so mediocre. I don't understand. People still compare him to Pep Guardiola. Guardiola is still at the top of his game 15 years after his debut, bro. He's been at the top way longer than Mourinho was. He has aged way better in the sport. While Mourinho's been getting sacked, Guardiola's been going and winning Premier Leagues, winning a Champions League at City. And most shockingly of all, I think, he recently took a dig at Real Madrid's new coach, Alvaro Arbeloa, who used to play under Mourinho at Madrid. If you remember, his only purpose was to kick people. He takes a slight dig at Madrid's coach, Alvaro Arbeloa. There are people who haven't accomplished anything in their careers managing big clubs. For me, it's a surprise when coaches with hardly any experience, coaches with no history, get the opportunity to manage the best clubs in the world. Now, there is kind of some truth there, but does he think he deserves to coach these teams? That's what he's kind of getting at there, bro. And you can tell that's his mentality, the way that he talked about Fenerbahce, his former club, saying that he was too good for that. Like, where does he think he belongs in world football, bro? Because he's failing at Benfica as well. They are the biggest club in Portugal. They are the most winning club in Portuguese history. And he's losing with them right now. They're not doing well. Where does he think his level's at, dude? And he keeps blaming, keeps pushing. And my question to Mourinho defenders, to Mourinho fans, what makes you believe this guy is the best manager of all time? What makes you believe he is above Pep? Because the only thing I've seen is Pep goes to the best teams in the world. Mourinho would go to the best teams in the world if they still wanted his ass. People forget, at Chelsea, his first season there, they had just been bought by the Russian guy Abramovich, whatever the fuck, who pumped insane money into the club. Chelsea were nobodies before that happened, bro. That's how they became great. They pumped money into the club. Mourinho could get whoever he wanted. He could get the Drogbas. He could get the Carvalho, yeah, the right back. He could get these players, or the center back, whatever the fuck. He could get these players because he had the investments, just like Guardiola had. And Guardiola is doing it a lot more consistently, and he's still competing. Mourinho at some point could just not cope, and he could not get up to the level that teams were expecting of him. And it showed that in his second stint in 2016, he was sacked. 2015-2016 season, he was sacked. He's not up for it anymore, with or without money. He's just not at that level. If he could coach one of these teams with money, he would. But none of them will take him. They know his time is finished. And people still like to compare him to the top of all time. Sir Alex Ferguson, for all the controversy, for paying the refs, whatever the fuck, for all the controversy, never had 10 years of complete shit. Never ever. I don't even think he had, at his prime in United and after, he never had 3 seasons where he went bad. Am I wrong? He, like, after his prime, after the 90s, he was still winning shit, and it never went away. Guardiola has never been sacked. The winning has never gone away, even in the last few seasons where people are saying he's finished the last season and a half. They're still near the top, bro. They're still fighting for shit. This guy, it's been 10 years of failures, and they can say that, oh, he won the treble at United. He was sacked the season after because they were underperforming then. Oh, he won a title with Roma. It's the Conference League, bro. Cool. And then he lost the final next year and then got sacked. Like, this is supposed to be the greatest manager of all time. You're supposed to be talking about Premier Leagues. You're supposed to be talking about Champions Leagues. That's not what they talk about. They celebrate mediocrity. And they take his word for everything. They believe everything he says. When he blames people besides himself, they follow suit. It's such a blind faith to a guy that hasn't proven himself in the sport in close to 11 years, man. Now, the start of his career is one of the best of all time, going and winning the Champions League with Porto, winning the treble with Inter, winning those Prems with Chelsea, winning the La Liga with Madrid. His first 8-7 years in football as a manager is special shit. It's very, very special with all the talking and the iconic moments. It's very, very fucking cool. And it makes sense why people would want to back someone like this, because he is very iconic. You want personalities like this to work in football. But that just isn't the case. He's been failing for 10 years now. He doesn't deserve jobs that people want him for. And even then, I think if he were at his prime now, I think he would be a lot more hated than people think, dude. His style of play was fucking boring, aggressive, cheater football, just pure psychology nonsense. It was the worst kind of football of all time. People forget in that first leg of the semifinal, Barcelona versus Madrid, people forget because of Messi's amazing goal. That shit was a fucking snooze fest because Madrid could do nothing but just stay in their own half and didn't try anything for 80 minutes, bro. They made that game boring as fuck, and it took Messi and the greatest team of all time to make that somewhat exciting. But that was a fucking snooze, bro. His style of play is boring. It's at his prime. It was boring. It was lacking of beauty, and it was dirty as fuck, bro. You should be grateful that this style of play doesn't work anymore. You should be grateful that this guy just does not have what it takes anymore. Because that style of play, running Europe, would be a travesty to the sport. But hey, man, y'all can still celebrate his successes from 20 years ago, bro. Facts. And his third place in Portugal with Benfica.